Banjos. I went down to a friend's house the other day and she had a Gibson Master Tone, which is that's the kind of banjo that Earl Scruggs used to play. She had one sitting in her closet. And we've been talking about that a little, and I think I'm going to teach her grandson how to play the banjo. That's on my list of things I'm excited about. And that's got me excited about banjos in general. I've been online all morning looking at, I discovered a new internet site called Reverb that I didn't know existed, and they sell all sorts of musical instruments, and it's kind of like eBay, but it's not an auction site. It's a sales site, and it's interesting to see what people have and the methods they're using to sell them. And I'll give you a good for example. I guess I could turn the camera around where you could actually see my face, since I'm just walking around out here in the sunshine. Anytime you got anything for sale, if nobody buys it, then it's probably priced too high. Now, you might not think it's priced too high, but if people aren't buying it, then you're not going to sell it. If you don't lower the price, you're going to just get to keep it. Or you can just keep it and wait till later, see if the price goes up. But the reality is, if you want to get rid of something, you know, pretty much about all you can do is drop the price. Well, it's interesting to see a lot of these very interesting banjos. Interesting to me because I'm actually quite a banjo nut, and most people don't know one banjo from another. And I, on the other hand, have studied banjos kind of like the way I studied the Bible back when I was a kid. And I know a lot about them, but I don't know everything there is to know about them, because there's a lot to know. There's a lot of, you know, during the last century, man, there's been a lot of interesting innovations in the banjo world. Most of them you'd never know about, but I do, and they fascinate me. And so I've been looking at a lot of banjos and seeing the price coming down and thinking, hey, that's something I could get excited about. I'd like to get that. I used to do crisis work. I stayed up all night sitting by the phone waiting for the phone to ring. And often, you know, I'd get a phone call where somebody had a gun in their hand and was talking about blowing their head off and wanted me to tell them why it'd be a good idea not to kill themselves tonight. And sometimes some of them folks that called, after listening to their story, I was thinking, this is going to be a real challenge for me to think of a good reason why you shouldn't kill yourself tonight. But I mean, there's some situations that you run into that really challenge you to get creative about trying to keep someone alive, even to the point where you say to yourself, you know, this time next year or the year after that or the year after that, are they going to be glad I kept them alive, or will they be cursing me for doing so? But that's getting off on a whole nother point. But what I used to do while I was waiting for the phone to ring was I used to scan eBay, and you know, eBay was the only place in the world I knew of where you could literally look at thousands of banjos online and read about them, and I did that. I sit there and look at all these banjos, read about them. Sometimes I'd buy one, and sometimes I'd turn around and sell it again and buy another one, you know, because that was the only way I knew how to get my hands on all these interesting banjos, was to buy them and sell them. And I don't think I ever made any money. In fact, I might have lost some money doing that, but I enjoyed it. And I was sitting there looking at this site this morning, all these banjos, and I was really enjoying it. And I got some banjos right now that I want to dig into. You know, I've got a couple of really interesting banjos that could use a little bit. You know, I'm not a luthier, but there's a little bit you can do to tune up a banjo. Kind of like there's little things you can do to tune up a car, a carburetor, whatever. You know, it just takes focus and concentration and patience and the ability to spend a little time, fiddle with it, do this, do that. And I'm starting to acquire a few tools. That's exciting to me, you know. I'm really excited about that. I'm starting to even think about, you know, building a little cabin over there to keep my banjos in and to sit and play music in and stuff like that. So